Hey everybody, Andrew Muller here for the New American Magazine. We caught up with a dear friend of ours, SustainaClause, who has been to 10 COPs. He is an absolute veteran. We interview him every time we come to these. He's one of my favorite people because though we have some disagreements, we enjoy talking to each other, and we'll actually talk because we believe in dialogue. So SustainaClause, it's great to have you here. I just want to first start off with, yesterday there was a big fire here at the COP. We were outside doing some footage. You can catch that at thenewamerican.com. You were inside. Tell us what you saw.
We saw panic, but not really panic. It was the fire broke out, I believe, in the Indian Pavilion. It doesn't matter which pavilion, but it broke out. I hope it was an accident, for sure. But it broke out, and it literally, the flames licked the ceiling. And because this is a petrochemical, this is a tent, made out of plastic and fabric that's highly flammable. It just burnt right through the top. And pretty scary. So imagine people who are totally unfamiliar with fire and are totally unfamiliar with the place and don't speak the language. There were conflicting instructions on which way to go. And so, you saw from the pictures, like people going all over the place in different directions, trying to find an exit. But no one was hurt, apparently, or there was smoke inhalation, which probably is toxic, and so on, but no one was really injured. Outside, because we got outside eventually in the hot weather of Belém, Brazil, you can see my costume, which I've worn for 10 years. It's a bit of a suffer for your art type of thing here in Belém. I noticed, of course, that other people needed water. And so I filled SustainaClause's bag. In fact, I'll offer you one right now.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take it.
Here's a water to cool down. And you see, this is more valuable than gold. And it will be much more so in the world. So I was handing out water to the people who were under stress, out in the sun, in unfamiliar circumstances. So I believe that this is a summary of COP30. Yeah. It's not the fault of Brazil. Brazil tried to host it in the way that it politically could do so. But I think for the delegates, I'm actually hoping for the delegates that they understand that this is the real world. Electricity went out this morning. We were here when the electricity went out. The electricity went out. There was a fire yesterday. The transportation's kind of messed up, and especially for old people like me. Like you got to walk far to get the bus, and the bus takes you a short distance. You got to walk again. It's not a lot of thinking involved. So these delegates are coming here. They're getting overheated. I was in the hospital last week, because of heat. I was rollerblading. It's my fault. I was rollerblading in the morning, trying to keep up with cyclists on rollerblades, and then I joined the People's Protest March at the beginning. But they had already left, so we had to walk double time to do it. So it's my fault that I got overexerted and ended up in hospital, but am I alone? No, there's a lot of people here that are not used to these conditions and not air conditioning on everything. So I believe that the COP30 will be remembered not only for the fire and the accommodation problems and the expensive stuff. I think it'll be remembered that this was the display of how the world really lives. The real world lives. Problems with accommodation, problems with economy, and their own incomes. Problems with water, clean water, right. Fresh water in hot environments. These are not jokes. So you know that for years I was doing the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and I don't believe in all of the SDGs, but I believe in some of them. The first 7: clean water, clean energy, health, education, no hunger and no poverty. Of course we need to do those things, but I think that it needed something like this to really solidify in the minds of those negotiators and the minds of those delegates who act like tourists at these COPs. that this was real. This is a real cop, and maybe their experience was impactful, and maybe they'll go home, or maybe we'll even get some decisions here on the fossil fuel.
Yeah. And that's one thing that we were reading this morning, is that the new agreement is actually fairly weak on getting rid of fossil fuels. And a lot of critics online were saying with the fire yesterday how much, bad pollution that emitted. They used fire trucks with fossil fuels to put out the fires. What sort of symbolism do you think is there for the COP?
Well, I mean, in any country, in any place, they're going to have fire trucks run by diesel. I hope. I don't want electric fire trucks. I do not want electric fire trucks. I can tell you that much. So, So criticizing the infrastructure that exists pretty much everywhere in the world is just stupid. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just bitching. That's maybe some media. They just love to create controversy, even though it applies very much to themselves. Sure. They're totally hypocritical. But as I said a moment ago, these situations do exist. Can this place be completely electrified? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Can this place be totally AI operated? Smart cities? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to. And I think you want to talk a little bit about the cashless society.
I do.
And can this be a cashless society? Well, if you want eye scans and iris scans and live in 15-minute cities, maybe. Do you think Brazilians are going to do that?
No. Yeah, well, let's talk about that, because I've only been to 2 COPs, you've been to 10, but correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first time they've done this cashless payment system.
Yeah.
And basically how it works, for those of you who aren't here, is they give you this card, and you have to load up the card with money, and you can't buy anything within the COP unless you have the digital payment system that was processed through the host partner, and you have to go and reload it. And just the other day, Alex and I were trying to go and get lunch in here. Everything's really expensive. We didn't have enough money. We had to go hunt down one of these people or walking around with a little sign that says cashless station, have to reload your card, go and get it. And the kicker is that once you put that money in, you never get it back. The overage of the money, they donate. And we haven't been able to figure out where that donation goes. I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of that. But what are your thoughts on that? Before we hit record, you were saying that you were against a cashless society, as am I. Kind of explain your rationale on that.
Okay, well, first of all, I've been in the blockchain space since 2013. Quite early on. Now, I never made any money out of it, like Bitcoin or anything, but I understand the technology, and I'm very pro decentralized systems. Now, cash is a centralized system from each country, but it is in practice, it's kind of a decentralized system, because there's exchange, right? Exchange between $1 and a peso or a euro or whatever. So we already have a sort of decentralized economic situation where you can use American dollars and go and get Chinese yuan. You can do this, but when you become digital. And there's a couple of issues about the digitization, which I wanted to discuss a little later. But when you become digital, then it becomes centralized, for sure. Because then it's not even the U.S., Federal Reserve.
Right.
It's not even necessarily the CBDCs, the central bank digital currencies. It's not even necessarily only that. It's that they are also puppets of another level of economic control.
Yeah.
Right? And, based in City of London and New York. So those two characters, those two entities, they control the global system. Right, and this is where you have this problem with BRICS, or they have this problem with BRICS, right? Because now there's this parallel or different system of exchange, and also in Africa, they're starting to lose the dominance of the U.S. dollar in Africa and start to trade between themselves in their own currencies. Imagine that, right? This is what you're describing here in this. Like I say, it's kind of a microcosm. This COP13 is 30.
30,
sorry. Yeah. Wow. I can't count anymore. I've been to so many of them. This COP30 is this sort of it's a book. It's a revealing the frailties of these proposed fixing society and fixing the environment and fixing the economy.
Yeah.
These are theories. They don't work in practice. So I just want to come back to your comment about the getting food here. I came across exactly the same situation. I wanted to have some food. I wanted a sandwich. I wanted that sandwich, and I was hungry and I was starving actually, and I wanted that sandwich. And I went up to the person. No, I went to the cash. It's called cash, but it's not. I went to the counter. And I talked to the young lady, and I said, I'd like that one. And she said, okay, which one? I said, you got to go over there to get the card. Do you have a card? I said, no, I have no card. So I went over there. And she came with me because I wasn't speaking Portuguese. And so she told the girl that I wanted some amount of money. And the girl said, do you have an ID? I said, are you kidding me? Are you joking? I need an ID for a sandwich?
Right.
You're telling me I have to show you my name, my age, my, details for a sandwich?
Right.
This is the end of, this is not right.
Right.
This is not right. So poor thing, I gave her a hard time. It's not her fault. She's just trying to do her job. But the behind it is people who said, oh yeah, sure, the tourists coming to the COP30, not negotiators, not delegates, not observers as I am. I'm an observer, like a 10 years of UN experience as an observer, right? No, we're treated like, oh, you've got a KYC, we've got to know your customer. We got to know who you are and track you. Yeah. So I didn't get the sandwich. Actually, I did get the sandwich. You know why? Because the young woman from the place that was selling the thing, she put her own card, and I gave her the money, or I forget how it worked. But the point is, humanity prevailed. Yeah. Right?
Found a way around.
Reasonableness, honesty, straightforwardness prevailed, and I got my damn sandwich. Yeah.
Fun.
So please continue.
Yeah. So when we were talking before, when we were walking through the entrance of the COP to the media center to do this interview, you used the word Orwellian, and I think that that's a very reasonable description of this kind of digital gulag that might be built, where you have to register all your information, give up your privacy just to buy a sandwich. Kind of speak to what's wrong about that, and is that something we should be worried about with the future of the UN?
Well, I think so. And, I'm not against the UN. I've been trying to help the United Nations. Remember, this is the United Nations. And also remember, a little off topic, but this is UN territory for 2 weeks.
That's right.
But you know what happened in the fire?
It went to the Brazilian control.
It went back to Brazil. Logically, why? Because they have to, have the firefighters and the investigators and all the rest of it. They have to get on site and be in control of it. Totally understandable. I'm not a complete conspiracy theorist, but, okay, like, what's that about?
Yeah.
Okay, there are some things involved there. I'm not going to say what they are, but, think through what's happening and what happened. So just review the question for me again.
The Orwellian element of it. How should we be concerned about that? Giving up our privacy, whether that be through CBDCs or cashless society.
Right.
Like, should we resist that?
Yeah. So United Nations is use nations. Nation states are entities. They're basically corporate entities. They're entities of trade, right? And power, military conflict or taking resources from others because you have a bigger bomb. That's one part of the corporate, the state mandate. State violence, of course, is another, which is like your KYC. It's kind of a form of state violence. It's like your private information, you shouldn't have to give it.
Right.
Right? It's just that you do have to give it. If you want to move from A to B, or if you want to eat a sandwich, or get out of your 15-minute city, you gotta be identified.
Right.
And of course your medical history and all the rest of it. So UN represents United Nations. These are not our friends, it's turned out. Nations are not our friend, right? They're not looking after us. Yeah. They have an agenda, which is their own. right? The governments or whatever, whatever entities are controlling the nation state, they're not our friend. What we need is for the United Nations to become more, well, it won't become more the people's nation, United Peoples, right? Because that's the reality of the world. The reality of the world is like here, is that once you're outside in the heat with everybody needs water.
Yeah.
Everybody's the same. It doesn't matter what language, skin color, religion, it doesn't matter. You need water. So that's the reality of the world, is that the United Nations is less and less, and certainly these COPs are less and less representing people and the populations of the world. The U.S. pulled out, right?
That's right.
Basically. So, it's not here to represent itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's trying to control the whole process from outside.
Yeah.
How does that work in a community?
Right.
Do you like that? Nobody likes that. If you're a community and someone comes in from the outside and says, no, you have to go over there, or you have to stand on your head and spit nickels. No, nobody likes that. So this this relationship of nations around the world is falling apart. It's not United Nations. It's not League of Nations. They're not acting as a world body to fix problems, maybe even prevent war. Maybe their mandate to prevent war, which is the original mandate of the UN, 1948 right. mandate. Maybe it's not. Maybe they're not caring about that anymore. They want to make money from war.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned the U.S. I got to bring this up because we're an American outlet.
Sure,
the U.S. did not send a delegation this year. We went around and asked all the delegation offices. We asked China, Britain, your Canadian country. We asked them, where's the U.S.? They said, we're not here. We went and reached out to the State Department. They responded to us and they gave us a statement, and they said the administration decided not to send any delegation because this event exists to, quote, bankrupt the United States. That was their official statement to us, the New American. And then just on Wednesday, Trump was at the Saudi Investment Forum in Washington, D.C., and he said that the people who have been pushing the climate narrative of global warming, man-made fossil fuel, or man-made, global warming and cooling, those people need to be criminally investigated. That was what the president said. So what's your reaction to that?
Trump said we were the 51st state, right?
Yes, yeah, I'd be interested in your thoughts on that too.
We have a game. It's called Tug of Wall, WALL.com. It's .com. It's a .com. Tugofwall.com, WALL. And that was our response or my response to Trump's threat. And of course, there are all the tariff stuff, and so I don't even want to go into it. It's my background. I used to teach MBAs. My background is not in economics specifically, but I know a little bit about it. Yeah. And this gentleman who is in charge of your country does not seem to understand even what these economic systems, how they work, what they are, who they're attacks on. They're not a tax on Canadians, they're a tax on Americans, right? And all tariffs are taxes on Americans importing things from other countries. So it's a total misrepresentation, actually. Not only a misunderstanding, that's his misunderstanding, but it's a misrepresentation of what good is being done for the American people. It's not good for the American people. It's not good for Canadian people either, but it's super bad for Americans. So, yeah, I don't want to talk too much about that guy because what am I going to do? Yeah. I can't vote. I can't counsel. Yeah. But the world is looking, and unfortunately for Americans, it's looking at the U.S. and it's considering the whole U.S. to be that. Right? And that's not fair to Americans, because there's lots of Americans that it's not about disagreeing with Trump himself. It's about this whole, it's pretty fascist. The whole sort of move toward snatching people off the street, regardless of their rights. Doesn't play well in international media. Certainly doesn't play well in Canada. Yeah. So that's what that comment of Canada and what is it, Greenland and Panama, like it's all going to be absorbed by the United States. I think it's unfortunate that we're playing at a child level, an adult game, which leads me into make childhood great again, and which is our challenge, which is our project. Not about America, it's about children. And we have been hugely successful here at COP 30 because it's being referred to as the People's COP.
Or the COP of truth.
Yeah, well, exactly. Remember, here, this, a cope de verdade. This is a minister of this is Marina Silva, Minister of Environment. And that's me. And we're doing the three-finger sustainability symbol. And she said, this is the COP of truth.
Right.
And I don't know if you recall, or maybe a few years ago, I introduced the ring of truth. And in Sharm el-Sheikh and then again in Dubai, we had the ring of truth, where you get the politicians to stand in the ring of truth, and if they lie, their nose grows like Pinocchio, right? It didn't actually work. But, the idea is kind of fun. And that has led this year to make childhood great again. And I think even Americans can sort of see the joke in it and the fun in it, is that it's not about nation states. We have to start to focus on children. We need a better world and an opportunity for children to be children, regardless of their nationality, regardless of their religion or skin color. So our project called MakeChildhoodGreatAgain.com is children's photos taken by their parents or teachers or guardians, but the first photo is just their letter, right? The letter that they've written, or the drawing, could be a kid's drawing. And the second one is holding the letter. I have a couple in my bag. We can pull them out later and take a look. But, the child holds the letter in front of their face. So you can't see the kid's face, right? But it's a kid because they're holding it, and there's a sort of a background, and they're kid size, right? So adults, when they look at these photos, we've found that when they look at the drawing or the letter, they say, "Oh, isn't that cute?" When they look at the photo of the child holding the thing, they go serious, because I think psychologically they see themselves in that child, because they don't see the face, so they project themselves into that child, and they were children once, and they remember, I was a child once. I loved looking at bugs, or I loved playing with my friends. I loved being a child and having this optimism about the future. And then we become adults and we get all messed up, right? So I think this is a very powerful campaign. And take a look on it, please, on the website, because we have the photos of the letters so you can read them, and then the photos of the children submitted by the parents, totally, GDPR compliant. So there's no privacy issue there, and that's going to be and was delivered on Change Wednesday, which was yesterday. Or day before yesterday, that's delivered to the leaders. So it was delivered to the assistants and Marina Silva, and we will get it to Guterres and the president of the COP and so on. But the idea is, for the future, this is a record. It's like an ongoing, ever building. It'll build from COP 30, and even if the UN stops doing COPs, we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop. And let me be honest with you, as if I wasn't being honest with you before, right? What we're going to do is we're going to embarrass these leaders, right? We're going to let the media, like yourselves, we're going to let the media refer to these images of children holding their dreams of the future. And if you, as a leader, your heartstrings are not plucked by seeing what children really want from all over the world, Gaza, Ukraine, Sudan, Canada, US, Brazil, all over the place, children are pretty much the same. You know, they want to play, they want candies, they want toys, you know, they want fun, and they don't want to go to bed early, right? You know, like that's just normal, right? So I think human beings, we will separate the reptilians from the human beings, you know, if we do this, and maybe we can get negotiations, maybe we can get better leadership, maybe we can get people, the people who vote and put these people in power, they themselves begin to become true adults, not just big kids, big babies. You know, they become adult. They take individual social responsibility. You know, I'm always flogging this three fingers.
It's peace plus 1 trillion.
Exactly, peace plus 1 trillion. So, like, you know, it's, and that's another issue, of course, the financing. But, you know, we're doing this step by step, but we're doing it as fast as we can. The ring of truth, the letters to kids' letters to the future, you know, even bringing the SDGs up Everest back in the day, back in 2017. You know, like, we've been trying, man. We've been really trying in all kinds of stunts and tactics and so on, even funny hats. You know, we've been trying to get people to self-reflect, put the politics aside for a bit. Realize that when it comes to not having water, we're all in the same planet. We're all in the same boat. Water, food, shelter, safety, you know, Maslow's hierarchy, we need it. So let's be friends, or you don't even have to like your neighbor. Just respect them. Just cooperate as much as you can, because you'll need them sometime soon.
Yeah, fascinating. Appreciate you sharing that. Now, one of the things I just had to interview you and talk to you about was because last year when I interviewed you in COP29 in Azerbaijan, you said that the green zone, and let me just preface this for those who don't know, who aren't here, don't know how this all works. You have the green zone, which is open to the public, activists, it's very vibrant typically, at least it used to be. People there with all of their various campaigns, initiatives, products, but it seems that there's been more and more industry, more and more official corporatized booths at the Green Zone. And when I talked to you last year, you said that the activists were being pushed out. Now, just a couple days ago, Alex and I went to the Green Zone, and we were blown away to see that there were virtually no activists. It was all corporate. So you were right, SustainaClause. I got to say, you were completely right. Tell us a little bit about that, what you've observed, and is this going to get worse? Are the activists going to, and these are activists who agree with the, you know, climate change narrative of the UN oftentimes, but they're being pushed out. Talk to that.
Right. So, as you say, they're even agreeing or supporting the official stance, and they're being suppressed in the green zone and also in the blue zone. So yes, the direction is repression. What I observed over the years, because it didn't start like last year or you know, it's been a creeping element. I would even say since my first COP, or the first COP that I was SustainaClause, which was in 2015 in Paris. You know, we were tear gassed in the street, literally, by the police, and that was the genesis of the Paris Accord. I mean, that was why the Paris Accord, from my perspective. I could be wrong, but from my perspective, and I was there, right? So I think my perspective has some merit. It was because the leadership, also in Paris, don't forget, French Revolution, you know, 2 times, you know, so like they know about the guillotines. So leadership is understanding that the people are actually very powerful, right? When the people turn against you, you're in trouble. It doesn't even matter how big an army or ICE or, you know, whatever you have. Actually, they're people too. They have families too. And when they run out of water or they run out of food, they're not on the government side anymore. They're on the side of themselves and their family, and they have to be on the side of the community because you can't operate without community. So the idea of the corporatization of this event, well, you've seen it yourself. I mean, prior to the fire.
Yeah, right.
You know, like now it's all blocked off. There, you can't go and see the corporate booths. But you know, and again, please don't think that I'm, you know, putting down Brazil. I am not. I am very thankful and grateful for the efforts that Brazil has made. Brazil is a huge country, like physically huge.
Yeah.
It is also a super diverse country, and it's like herding cats, I would imagine.
And all the staff has been working very hard, the security, the firefighters.
Totally, and doing a great job. You know, they're not lackadaisical. They are super concerned about us being carefully handled, right? There are mistakes, for sure. Can they happen in Canada? Sure. Yeah, we're dumbasses too. You know, like there's all kinds of people. But this corporatization thing is what we're talking about. Yes, it's not just creeping. Now it's just open. What's the word? It's like it's evident.
Yeah.
It's not even like a little bit mysterious. You go into the blue zone. Entering the blue zone, it's like entering a travel trade show. Right? Literally, on some booths it says visit Thailand.
Right. Yeah, they're like pushing their country. Yeah.
Pushing their country as tourism.
Yeah.
Now, other countries are pushing the green agenda, which that's what they're here for, and that makes sense. But what sort of bothers me, I don't know if I want to mention the country but anyway, a big country that you know, that we all know, and it's not your country. I spoke to a young lady who I had met a couple of days ago, who was at the booth. And she heard some of my story, and she was very friendly. And I said, isn't it sort of sad about this sort of this ending? And she was packing up her stuff. You know, they were packing up their stuff from their booth. And I said, isn't it kind of sad that it's ending with a fire and the sort of stress and no negotiation really smooth on the way? And she said, yeah. Or did she say yeah or no? I can't remember. But whatever she said, well, we didn't give all our trinkets away.
My guess is it was China.
I'm not going to say. But, but that's imagine her concern was that they didn't give enough gotchis. What do they call gotch?
Yeah.
Like
just little souvenirs.
Souvenirs.
Yeah.
Didn't give enough souvenirs away. All of them. Head, what is it called? Head slap or,
face palm.
Face palm,
yeah.
Man. Oh my God. Like, and it's not her fault. That's what she was told that was her job and that was what we were here for. And, get your job done and so on. No blame at all. Just what are we doing here in this world?
Yeah.
Why are we? I mean, I'm a supporter of the United Nations. I have been for 10 bloody years. But how about some reciprocity? How about some support or even nice words? I tell you, and I won't mention names, but I get, comments and back. Even our Change Wednesday was screwed up. They moved they moved our spot and they moved it to a half an hour ahead of time.
Wow.
How do you inform people that it's a new place? You can't do it. So they really pretty much kind of messed up. And I've done this like every year for past 8 years. Right? So I'm not blaming, because they're under stress. They changed systems, and they're also very, they have to be very strict on their stuff. But there you go. Like even myself, and this is all self-financed.
Yep.
All self-financed, folks. Hint, hint. It's all self-financed, and I'm doing my best. I can't do more. I mean, damn it, I was in the hospital during this time from from overexertion.
It's super hot here. That's why I'm dressed so casually. They're calling this the no tie cop because it's so hot.
It's totally, and I'm kind of wearing like
he's wearing his Santa outfit.
The opposite of being cool.
He's committed.
I'm very committed to my art, and so this whole idea of reciprocity and being prepared for the future. I think we're really in a serious world crisis. Forget the UN itself. people around the world, governments around the world, populations around the world, they haven't, you know, Roger the Reality Rooster and LCP, the Low Carbon Panda.
Yeah, let's pull them out. I remember those guys from last year.
Yeah, you know, they're
the little Sustaina critters, I think we call them, right?
Yeah. So the Sustainees, and so, you know, they have, you know, Roger the Reality Rooster, buck, wake up to reality, and LCP, the Low Carbon Panda. That's a lifestyle of health, happiness, and sustainability. She doesn't say anything. She just lives a lifestyle of health, happiness, and sustainability. And the rooster does the rooster's job. You know,
right.
Wake up, like get up in the morning and be awake and be alive. So the idea is,
hold them up a little higher, so
the idea is that you know, the world and the people of the world, your viewers, you know, regardless of political, political thought and so on, just be human. Just be empathetic. Understand that you've got to put yourself in the shoes of other people. I was handing out water, you know. Actually, earlier I was handing out water yesterday and today, right? And only one young girl, I don't know if it was after she saw me doing it. I hope it was completely on her own volition, but she did come and offer me water, which is funny because I had I had the bag full of water and I had another backpack here full of water, handing it out to people who looked stressed. I wasn't handing it to everybody.
Yeah.
I was handing it out to people who looked like, you know, their head down and like I lost my life, you know,
right.
to the fire or, you know, that kind of thing, or I'm just exhausted. I can relate. So just being kind, being empathetic. I think we need a world movement, and it's not a religious thing or anything. You know, it's just like be a human being. You know, we share the planet. It's heating. You want to dispute that? Great, super. You know, I'm hot. Are you? You know,
yes, very hot.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. It's just personal experience, and even in Canada, it's the hottest fall season that I've ever experienced. Right. So we can make it better, but it's really between us. It's really between people. It's not politics. It's not privilege. It's not money. It's not economy. It's not even the cashless society thing. But the cashless society is important because we're all being seduced, and especially young people, you know, they're being, I think, tricked. They're really tricked into this. Did you see the thing? About in London, and I think this is around the world, but you know, the one, I forget the name of it exactly, one coin or world, no, it's called world coin. You've seen about this thing? And it's an orb.
Yeah.
Be aware, be afraid of orbs. Don't go near orbs. It's this orb thing, ball, but it's basically an iris scanner. Okay, you put your eye up to it close, and it scans your iris. And your iris is the only thing on your body that cannot be changed. Yeah. Right, from birth to death, you cannot be physically altered. So you cannot alter your person. You know, you can alter your face, you can get plastic surgery, but you cannot change your iris. So in London, some shopping mall in London or something, they were having this display of people, and they were incentivizing it with cryptocurrency. Wow. You know, like, and I'm a cryptocurrency, not a fan, but I understand the system, and I understand that digitization of assets and so on, and responsibility is something that I work on. Okay, I'm not against it. I think it's badly implemented and it's mistakenly referred to, but I don't say I'm against it. So that's what we need to do is be seeing that the iris scan and the centralized digitization of the human experience, like tracking you from an early age, because of course the shopping mall is a lot of young people. Right. They get a free cryptocurrency by sticking their eyeball into a big eyeball, and they get something. It's worth nothing. Yeah. I mean, they say it's going to be worth $1 million in the future, but you know, it's not, probably. So this is the world we're living in. It's a world of TikTok and deception and Instagram and Facebook and centralized digitization and centralized control and no freedom, of movement and so on. That's why I made the comment about Orwellian dystopian. We see it. We are feeling it. We're trying to buy a sandwich and we don't, I think this COP will be historical for these reasons. We've seen it in the past. We saw it in Dubai. We saw it in Sharm el-Sheikh. Certainly we saw it in Azerbaijan, the sort of repression stuff.
Yeah.
But, this is like a combo, but in a democratic way. But the democratic way is the Aboriginal peoples here, they were blocked, right? And I heard also, let me tell you another little story. I heard that the ID requirement for the food was to basically make it very difficult for the Aboriginal people.
Wow, that's a big story if true.
It is a big story if true. So if true, and I think if you ask your Brazilian colleagues, I think they will probably confirm that.
Wow.
That it's not a new thing. There's a lot of exclusion. Because, you heard the news, right? Were you here when they broke in?
We got here the day after that happened.
The day after. So I was here. I didn't see it, the actual thing, but I saw the security run to the front. So, the Aboriginal peoples here are Amazonian and Paris State. They don't take no for an answer. They don't take go away for an answer. This is their place. Mm-hmm. We're the interlopers. We're the colonists. We're the gringos. We're here. We shouldn't be here. It's not that we shouldn't be here. We should be respectful if we're here, right? So that's what's happening is that the indigenous peoples here are very powerful.
Yeah.
Politically powerful, numbers of people powerful, and they don't take no for an answer. So they'll be physically powerful as well. And so that's the idea is we can make the world a better place by respecting Aboriginal rights. It's going to be very hard for North Americans. It's going to be really tough, right? Because basically we stole all their land. Right? We're sitting on their land. Now, are we going to give it back? Not likely. Right? Are we going to compensate? Well, we may have to. And that's maybe not going to go over well with some of your audience, but, that's the reality, is that world is not the white European colonist world that I grew up with. Mm-hmm. I grew up in Canada, but I grew up in a white colonist mentality, and shouldn't say mentality. I grew up in a belief system that was we own the land that we're on, and our house was built on, and so that's all ours because we bought it ultimately from the government. But which government? Did we buy it from the ancient governments? No, mm-hmm. We bought it from our colonist government. Yeah.
Well, last question here for you. You're Canadian.
I am.
Some people we know, Rebel News, they got accredited to come here to the UN.
Right.
And then when they came, they ended up not being allowed in. And a lot of people are viewing that as kind of a censorship element. Do you think that the United Nations is censoring people? And as a Canadian, how does that make you feel that the Rebel News people weren't able to get into this COP?
I don't know if I'll be allowed back into Canada if I answer this question. I'm not in the same boat as them, but they are a noisy front runner of what many of us are experiencing. Even myself. I am not fully welcomed. In fact, I'm not welcomed at all with open arms. I'm too powerful. And I'm not powerful like money power.
Influence, yeah.
I'm influence. Yeah, I have influence. And I'm not boasting about it. I apparently do. I was on Global News just yesterday. Yeah. The biggest news network in the 2.5-minute piece on SustainaClause and the actions of Make Childhood Great Again, which they love, you see? So, but is the UN love that? Not really, because, there's too much power and influence of one silly character that's come to 10 of these cops and has an influence because, most people, you've walked with me a little bit and down the halls.
People love you. They're always stopping you and wanting to take pictures.
Take selfies and, so that's, you know what I think it is ultimately? Jealousy. I think it's jealousy. I think what you have is many, many organizations, not just the UN, you've got many organizations run by people, bureaucrats, who are NPCs.
Yeah.
And they're jealous. They're green with jealousy when they see, especially individuals or associations they can deal with, groups and associations, they say, well, we'll let you in, we won't let you in, or so on. But when it comes to individuals getting face and coverage and, attention, they don't like it.
Yeah.
If they can't pin you down because you're an individual, a group, you can say, well, we ban this particular news group because they're spreading misinformation or they're spreading because in Canada we have this problem, right? Not a problem of misinformation. We have a problem of a government telling us what misinformation is.
Right.
I'll tell you what information. I'll be the judge of whether it's misinformation or not.
That's right.
I will. Now, I don't say as SustainaClause. I say as an individual citizen, I will be open to a free press that has all range of different perspectives, and the most convincing one to me, the one with the most proof or the most, most convincing, most persuasive, I will go with them.
And that's free speech. Yeah.
That's free speech. That's. I don't say you can say anything you want, because in Canada we don't have free speech the way Americans have. You can say I'll, murder you. I think your president said they're going to kill some, try and execute some politician.
He said a few different things about prosecuting people and going after them.
But I mean, death penalty?
He did say that this week. He did talk about that.
Right. I mean, what? What world are we in that a leader is, the word leader embodies the idea of leadership. It's, you have a ship. There's a bunch of people on it, and you are the captain of that ship. Where is your responsibility? To just some of the people on the left side or the right side or the front or the back or the bilge? No, it's to the whole ship of people. That's the meaning of leadership. Do we have leaders that are exhibiting leadership? We're having leaders that are criminal partisans. They're mafias. They're special groups. And I'm not picking on any particular country. I'm picking on my own country too. All of them. I don't know, maybe there's some that aren't, but I haven't come across them certainly recently. So I think it's time. Maybe COP30 is this turning point when people just wake up and realize that we are in deep caca, and we have to individually, ISR, individual social responsibility, we have to individually get a spine, look after our children first, look after our family, look after our community, our neighbors and our friends, and our strangers in our community that we don't really like, but we know we have to help and we have to get along with. And then as a community, interact with the world. As a community, not social media, physical, food, shelter, transportation, healthcare, long list. So be on SustainaClause's nice list this year, right? Go to makechildhoodgreat.com.
All right. Well, hey, SustainaClause, really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to see you and talk with you. You're one of our favorite people. Stay tuned to thenewamerican.com. We'll be back with more.
Ho, ho, ho.